After surviving years of hardship, uncertainty, and emotional struggle, the Muslim community in Medina had become stronger, more united, and more respected across Arabia. But despite everything that had happened, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ never forgot Mecca. It was the city where he was born, the city of the Kaaba, the place connected to countless memories from his early life, and the city the Muslims had once been forced to leave behind during painful circumstances. Yet, even after years of opposition, an important moment would arrive that would completely change the future of Islam. One night, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ shared a dream with his companions. According to Islamic tradition, he saw the Muslims peacefully entering Makkah and visiting the Kaaba. The companions felt emotional and hopeful. Many of them had not seen their homeland in years. And so, the Prophet, peace be upon him, prepared a peaceful journey toward Makkah with a large group of companions. The Muslims carried no intention of conflict. They traveled mainly as pilgrims, hoping to worship peacefully at the Kaaba. But when news reached the leaders of Quraysh, they became concerned. They did not want the Muslims entering Makkah openly. As a result, the Muslims stopped near a place called Hudaybiyyah. The atmosphere became emotionally tense and uncertain. People wondered what would happen next. Soon, negotiations began between the Muslims and Quraysh. Representatives traveled back and forth, discussing possible agreements and conditions. At times, the discussions became difficult. Some companions felt emotional and confused, because after years of patience and sacrifice, many believers hoped they would finally enter Makkah immediately.
Then, a treaty was written. According to Islamic history, the agreement included conditions that initially seemed difficult for many Muslims. One condition stated that the Muslims would return to Medina that year without entering Makkah for pilgrimage. Another condition delayed their peaceful visit until the following year. To some companions, the agreement felt disappointing. They wondered why such terms should be accepted after everything the Muslims had endured. But Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, remained calm, patient, and wise. He understood something many others could not yet fully see. Sometimes, patience opens doors that force cannot. And over time, the wisdom behind the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah became clear. The agreement created stability across the region. Travel became safer. Communication between tribes increased. And for the first time in years, people across Arabia were able to observe Islam more peacefully and more closely. As a result, more people began learning about Islam with open hearts and minds. And slowly, the number of Muslims continued growing rapidly. What once appeared difficult was actually becoming one of the greatest turning points in Islamic history. During this period, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, also sent letters to rulers and leaders beyond Arabia. The message of Islam was now reaching farther than ever before. Meanwhile, the relationship between the Muslims and Quraysh slowly began changing. And eventually, the long-awaited moment finally arrived.
The Prophet, peace be upon him, and the believers once again prepared to travel peacefully toward Mecca. This time, they were allowed to enter the city. Imagine the emotions of that journey. People returning after years of separation. Memories filling their hearts. Families remembering everything they had experienced since leaving their homes behind. And as Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, entered Mecca, he did not enter with pride or arrogance. He entered with humility, gratitude, and mercy. Years earlier, he and the Muslims had left the city during hardship and uncertainty. Now, they returned peacefully, and one of the most remarkable moments in history was about to unfold. because the people who once strongly opposed him were now waiting to see how he would respond. Would there be anger? Would there be punishment after years of suffering? But what Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, did next surprised everyone. Instead of revenge, he chose forgiveness. Instead of humiliation, he chose mercy. And through that mercy, many hearts were deeply moved. The idols around the Kaaba were peacefully removed. And slowly, Makkah began entering a new chapter centered around faith, unity, and peace. For many people across Arabia, this moment became undeniable proof of the Prophet's character restored. Because true leadership is often shown through mercy and forgiveness. But even after the peaceful return to Makkah, the mission of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was not yet complete. More lessons, more emotional moments, and one final farewell still remained. And what happened during the final years of his life would leave a lasting impact on the Muslim world forever. After the peaceful return to Makkah, Islam continued spreading across Arabia more rapidly than ever before. Many tribes began visiting Medina to learn directly from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People observed his honesty, his mercy, his patience, and the way he treated others with fairness and compassion. The Muslim community was no longer small or isolated. It had become a growing society built upon faith, unity, responsibility, and moral values. But despite this growth, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam continued living a simple and humble life. He did not live like a king. He did not surround himself with luxury. Even though he was deeply respected across Arabia, he remained humble, kind, and close to the people. He visited the poor. He helped families. He encouraged compassion, honesty, and good character. And he constantly reminded people that true success comes through faith, sincerity, and righteousness. As the years passed, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam understood that his mission on earth was nearing completion. And during the 10th year after the migration to Medina, he prepared for a major pilgrimage to Makkah. This journey would later become known as the Farewell Pilgrimage. Thousands of Muslims traveled with him. People came from different tribes and regions across Arabia. Many realized they were witnessing an unforgettable moment in history. During this pilgrimage, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam delivered one of the most important speeches of his life, a speech now known as the Farewell Sermon. Standing before a massive gathering of people, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminded humanity about justice, equality, mercy, and responsibility. He reminded people to treat women with kindness and respect. He reminded believers about the importance of honesty and trust. He warned against oppression and injustice, and he taught that no person is superior to another based on race, tribe, or status. According to Islamic teachings, he reminded the people that all human beings are equal before Allah. Imagine the scene. Thousands of people listening silently in the desert, knowing they were hearing words filled with wisdom, guidance, and sincerity. For many companions, this moment felt deeply emotional because they sensed that the Prophet, peace be upon him, was giving them final advice for the future. And among the powerful messages he shared was this reminder: to hold firmly to faith, truth, and good character. The farewell sermon became one of the most lasting messages in Islamic history. Even today, millions continue reflecting upon its lessons about mercy, justice, unity, and human dignity. After completing the pilgrimage, the Prophet, peace be upon him, returned to Medina, and slowly his health began weakening. The companions became increasingly worried. They loved him deeply. For them, he was not only a messenger, but also a teacher, guide, and source of comfort during every hardship they had faced together.
Despite feeling weak, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, continued encouraging the believers.
He continued reminding people about prayer, kindness, and responsibility toward others. Then, during his final days, an emotional silence spread across Medina. The companions could sense the sadness in the atmosphere. And eventually, the moment arrived that no one was ready to face. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away in Medina at the age of 63. The grief among the companions was overwhelming. Some people struggled to believe the news. Others sat in complete silence. The city itself felt emotionally shaken. But during this painful moment, Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu stood before the people and reminded them of an important truth. According to Islamic history, he reminded the believers that while Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had passed away, Allah is ever living and never dies. Those words helped bring calmness and strength to the Muslim community during an incredibly emotional moment. But although the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had left this world, his message did not end. The Quran remained, his teachings remained, his example of mercy, patience, honesty, and faith remained. And over time, his message continued spreading far beyond Arabia, across nations, across languages, across generations. Today, more than 1 billion people around the world continue loving and following the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Not because of wealth, not because of worldly power, but because of the character, mercy, sincerity, and guidance he brought to humanity. From an orphan child in Makkah to one of the most influential figures in human history, the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, continues inspiring hearts across the world even today. And perhaps the greatest lesson from his story is this: true greatness is not built upon power or status. It is built upon mercy, patience, honesty, faith, and compassion toward others. And that legacy continues to live on forever. More than 1,400 years have passed, yet the message of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, continues inspiring hearts across the world. From the deserts of Arabia to millions of homes across different nations and languages, his teachings of mercy, patience, honesty, compassion, and faith continue living on. He began life as an orphan child in Makkah. He faced hardship, rejection, emotional loss, and uncertainty. Yet through every challenge, he responded with patience, wisdom, and mercy. And that is why his story continues touching hearts even today. Not because of worldly power, not because of wealth, but because of character. Because true leadership is built upon compassion, humility, justice, and forgiveness. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson from the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Even in difficult times, faith, patience, and good character can change lives forever. If this documentary moved your heart, make sure to like this video, subscribe to DeenTube, and share it with others so more people can learn about the beautiful life and character of Prophet Muhammad. And if you want part 3, covering the stories of the Sahaba, the spread of Islam after the Prophet, and the emotional journeys of the early Muslim world, then let us know in the comments. Until next time, peace be upon you all.